This episode of Inside Investing is brought to you by Bright Light Solar. We put the power in your hands and the savings in your pocket. Kevin Shames is the founder and chief executive of Bright Light Solar. Now, looking at your prospectus, it says that you're going to issue 50 million D shares of R1 each. So that's 50 million rand.
If you are an approved Section 12J company, an investor gets to deduct 100% of their investment against their taxable income in the year in which they invest. So whatever you're investing, you deduct that against your taxable income. Effectively, SARS are then making a contribution alongside you because you don't pay tax on that amount of your investment. And what are the conditions associated with that? You have to stay invested for 5 years. And the whole idea behind Section 12J was to create employment in South Africa.
Now, right in the upfront in the prospectus, it talks about the connected person test on tax benefits. What is that?
You can't have an investor greater than 20%. Otherwise, you breach the rules of Section 12J.
Last year, you raised 82.5 million from 223 investors. You're only looking for 50 million rand this year. How are you going to allocate if you get an oversubscription?
So it's going to be fastest fingers first. It's a first come, first serve basis. We are only offering this to existing investors and to BizNews listeners.
When can people send the money to you to say, I want in and I want a guarantee that I am in?
So we open on the 1st of February. We close when we hit that 50 million or the 23rd of February, whichever comes sooner. There are three components to the return. The first one is the Section 12J tax incentive. Anything that you invest, you will get back a tax saving of 45% on that. The second part is the dividend return that you'll get, and that dividend will grow over time. The third income stream was if the investor chooses to sell their shares at the end, and they can get out from month 61, the beginning of year 6 onwards, then they would get a capital return. They would sell their shares and receive capital, and they would have to pay capital gains tax, most importantly with a base cost of 0.
There's been a lot of discussion about the ending of it in the middle of this year. Is that still on the cards?
So there is what is called a sunset clause. That sunset clause says that the current version of Section 12J expires at the end of June this year. That only affects investors after June. So anyone that invests now in February is not subject to any impact of that sunset clause.
And this episode of Inside Investing was brought to you by Bright Light Solar. We put the power in your hands and the savings in your pocket.